I doubt anybody has sold more furniture in this business than David. Now, that may or not be true, but I'll tell you one thing that I know 100% true. Nobody sold more accessories in this industry than David Larkin. Period. I know this as a matter of fact.
Right. Top accessory. 54 years in the business.
And started with accessories.
Yeah.
But the fascinating part was David is colorblind.
What?
Did you not know this? That's news. So
In which eye?
So he didn't know I know, right? He didn't know I knew, and he's in the Tupelo space, and he's walking the booth, and we were in a temporary space, right? And we got these walls up. He's walking around. He's like, man, this is beautiful. I mean, the way this all goes together. And I had a saying that I learned from Bill Burson, my Oklahoma rep. I said, listen, just because you're blowing smoke up my ass doesn't mean I don't like it.
I think that.
Well, that was nice because we were able to pick the best sellers and things like that. What you found was,
Bitch, I can see you falling asleep while I'm telling my story.
I'm not falling asleep. Look, just try it.
So you're wrapping up today. Market started yesterday, but you're done already.
Yeah, well, my market started last Monday.
You've been here since Monday.
I've been here since Monday, working with appointments every day till right now. Just finished.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, when
Make his cocktail a double.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, and I woke up this morning with a severe toothache, so I'm medicated a little bit. Oh, I mean, it's brutal. So I'll get that repaired when I get home.
Good.
I'm like,
So
at my age, you learn to adjust.
Yeah, you just it's like that's what it is.
That's what it is.
This is how it's
yeah,
going to be
it
now.
was fascinating to me. So, as you know, David lost full vision in his right eye.
Yeah.
And it was almost like zero fucks were given. He was just kind of like, shit happens, and what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And, like, to me, I would be livid. Like, what do you mean, doctor? Like, fix it. Find somebody,
You know, Gabe, my neighbor.
He wanted Tito's and soda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tito's Club Soda with lime.
Michael messed it up.
What is that? Because we'll drink that.
Yeah, just leave it here.
well, hey,
it'll be fine. It's not going to go to waste.
Won't go to waste.
Yeah, my neighbor felt the same way about that you did. He said, how in the world do you deal with that every day and not stay furious at the world?
Yeah.
And I said, well, what good is that going to do to begin with?
For sure.
And secondly, this is minuscule compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah,
I'm not going to pity myself.
And what happened? That because it's all relatively new.
That's a great question. I'm driving to market. We'd gone through COVID without market, 2020. So this was the first mini market, first Tuesday of the month. And February, I believe it was February 1st, I left.
So that was back when they had the Tuesday mini markets.
Yes.
Every month they
Yeah.
had
This was the
they had a
first
mini market.
Yeah, I remember the mini
This
I
was
had forgotten about that.
This was the very first one. So I told Norma, who's always with me, and I said, look, I'll just run to High Point. I got 3 appointments, because everybody wasn't coming. All the retailers weren't coming at the same time. Suppliers were not all showing at the same time. Thank you. So Badcock chose to come to that one. I found some of my suppliers, factories I work with that would be there, set the appointments. I told Norma I'll just get up and drive all the way. And 2 days later, drive all the way home. She said, no, I'm always with you. And I said, there's no need for you to change everything you got planned. Just let me run up there and run back. So I got up, 4 o'clock, left at 5. Savannah is to the mile halfway from Lakeland to here. So I pulled off there to fill up. Filled up. Got back on 995, and within 20 seconds, it's like somebody pulled a black shade over this eye. I said, what in the hell? So found the first exit that I could get off, pulled into a parking lot and started, doing this, trying to figure out what was going on. And any intelligent man, more than likely, would have gone to the emergency room or at least headed back home. But I calculated those 3 appointments. We hadn't had a market in a while, like 16 months. I got to get there.
You're going to get that.
I got to get there.
But isn't that like perfectly that is so analogous of who David Larkin is to begin with. Like it's work and furniture before everything, not quite everything, because you do a good job of prioritizing your family, but like you have always been, I want to say animal, but you are so committed. And I just want to say that I don't know that I know anybody more committed to this industry or to any particular customer. I've never met anybody more committed than you.
Gabe, I don't think you will. And the reason why is when I started selling Badcock in 1976, I studied that account, and it wasn't my only account, of course, but it was my biggest, or potentially my biggest. The account your dad worked with was a big account of mine, unclaimed freight, at the same time, by the way. But the Badcock account, I finally realized after studying, it's the only account you got to sell twice.
Oh, right.
You sell to the buyers and the owners back in those days, and it goes into a warehouse and sits there unless it's pulled out to those stores. And there's no way to get a reorder unless it's pulled out by the store.
Yeah.
They sell it, and Badcock reorders it for them. So some of my buddies that sold Badcock in those years either didn't understand the formula or didn't want to make
I think it's that. It's the latter.
the effort to what I call finish the sale.
Yeah.
And at Badcock, the reason my business progressed and grew is I finished the sale.
Yeah.
I would get, if you two guys were the buyers, you're the bedroom, you're the sofa buyer, and y'all buy from me. Well, y'all bought from me because you thought that was a value, not because you liked the way I parted my hair. But I wanted to show and convince the stores that what the buyers bought was a value. And the only way to do that was you can get in front of them somehow. And they always had hundreds of stores. When I started, I think they had about 128, 130. And today they have somewhere around 380. But irregardless of how many they had, I wanted it in every store. If I sold a picture or a sofa or a bedroom suit or a lamp, I wanted that in every store, which was wishful thinking on my part, but it was my desire. And I did, as years went by, put a realistic figure for Badcock of 200 floors. If I got my product on 200 floors, it had a damn good chance of staying and growing. If I didn't reach 200, it had a damn good chance of being eliminated and dropped and replaced. Not necessarily by me either.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to, like I said, finish the sale. And to me, finishing the sale was getting that product on as many Badcock floors as I could. And that's why the buyers were very comfortable buying from me, because they knew that product they bought would at least have a chance to be successful. They knew that. So that was part of the reason that I had longevity and staying power with WS Badcock.
Well, and I think that the stay power and the longevity, so that piece I think is a part of it. And from what I know and those that I know at Badcock, they have this sense of trust with you. Like, they know how committed you are to. Well, it's not just the commitment to them, because that's very clear to everybody. But it's also the knowledge. So you're bringing good information.
Okay, this is my 54th year. You think I've probably learned something along the way, and I try to listen.
You have forgotten more than I've learned. That's what I would.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, I've always tried to listen more than talk, and I'm not too bad at it.
Yeah.
You know, so I've also tried to be a person that built relationships. We all say, well, it's a healthy relationship. Well, there's a lot of guys and ladies that are great salespeople. A lot of them. You, for instance. I would never claim to that. But I will say I'm as good a people person as you go hire, ever.
Yeah.
That I do know.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a second and have our introductions,
All right.
since we're here. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Joe Walter, VP of Online Advertising at Tango Multimedia.
Gabriel Cohen, CEO of Classy Art, and our very, very special guest, the myth, the legend, David Larkin, sales rep extraordinaire. I doubt very few people have moved more furniture in this industry than you. And I will say it is not, it is so much because of the work you have put in. And I think it's so commendable. And, you know, we've shared our respects for each other many times.
Yes, we have.
But I just want our viewers and the industry to know why this man is a legend. It didn't happen because he got lucky with some account. He put in the work.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue to telling us how you make sure that your product, once you sell it to the corporate, how do you ensure that it gets into those 200 of their 300 plus stores?
Well, like I said, I figured out when I sold them in '76, I wasn't the only one selling them. There was hundreds of, most of them were my buddies, not all of them, but the majority of them were. And I just wanted to outperform, outdo my buddies who were my competitors, but I loved them. They loved
Joe
me.
keeps trying to do that to me, by the way.
But yeah, Badcock's an account that it's in a small town in Central Florida called Mulberry, Florida. And it was off the map for lots of people, a lot of even reps in Florida.
Yeah,
and
it is in a very remote part of Florida.
as remote as you can get.
Yeah.
And you know, we've always had superpower retailers down there. Levitt's at that time, you know, was on the skyrocket to become number one. You know, and then Rooms to Go opened down there, and I believe it was '92, and obviously skyrocketed. But you know, Badcock was a small to some people, not to me. To me, it was gateway to heaven.
Yeah.
You know, selling those people. And Mr. Badcock, God bless you, Morgan, was instrumental in my success, without question. He liked the way I serviced his account. He liked the way I called on his stores. He told me one day, he said, David, let me tell you what I want from you, son, always. I said, yes, sir. And he said, best price. No problem. He said, best service. I said, I'll wear them out until they give you the best service, Wogan. And he said, and son, when I have a problem, and when you sell as much furniture as I do, you're going to have a problem, you take care of it. And I said, that's all I have to do? And he said, that's all you have to do. And that's really where our relationship started, almost that day. And I tried to uphold my end of that bargain, and he certainly did his. Yeah. He called all his sons and two son-in-laws one day when I was there. He said, boys, there's 3 reps I want y'all to support always, even when I'm gone. The first one is Dean Spearman. And I said, well, that's a good one. He said, the second one is Norman Church. And I said, that's a real good one. And I'm thinking, oh, can I be number 3? And he said, and David Larkin. And do not ever not take care of those 3 reps, because they take care of us. And to be on that list, as far as I was concerned, that was as good as you could get.
Well, and for our viewers, because I don't think they recognize what taking care of us means. So how many stores do they have now?
380.
380 stores, and David visits all of them. All of them.
Yeah.
Him and his beautiful wife are on the road visiting every single dealer every year. And it's seems impossible. I can't even imagine mapping it how.
Well, you just do the math, 380, and how many days there are in a year.
So everywhere. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and they're in 8 states, So
Yeah.
the only way to do that, and the reason I do that, is again, I wanted to outdo
Well, you did it, brother.
my buddies that were selling against me. They were just trying to make a living, like I was. But I can't. Like I said, I studied Badcock and studied it, and I said, there's got to be a way that I can outdo them. And I started with my my own catalog that Badcock allowed me to put together and send out to all their stores.
So this is Larkin Galleries.
Larkin Galleries.
And it is a catalog of all of the various products that Badcock is currently buying from David Larkin. So every year he puts out this catalog.
And speaking of...
This is unheard of. Reps don't do this.
Reps do not.
Reps didn't do this back then, and they don't do it now.
Well, it's fascinating to me that even though they know the formula that David has clearly put out there,
yeah, you'd had secretive about how you did this.
yeah, they're still not doing it.
Yeah.
They don't do it. And a lot of our good friends, as you know, sell Badcock, Scotty B, Charlie, everybody, right?
Yeah.
And they're not doing it still.
Right. You lay out the formula for them, and they're still not
It's a
doing.
lot of, I wouldn't do it.
It's
Well, you barely put out a classy art catalog.
well,
I think there's a 2019 one around here somewhere.
Grab a copy of that.
ironically, one of my rep buddies' competitors, he named my company. We were at the Badcock show years ago when it was held in Lakeland at one of their stores. So I got with the guy setting the show up prior to the show, obviously. I said, this store has 3 vignettes, back when stores had, vignettes. And I said, I could fill those vignettes up very nicely. And he said, Larkin, everybody wants these vignettes. I said, yeah, but everybody's not me. And everybody doesn't do for you what, and he was a buyer also, but he set the show up. So I said, let me put it to you another way. I'm on my knees like a rat eating cheese begging you. and which is one of my favorite lines when I'm really begging somebody. And he said, "That's pretty funny, Larkin." And I said, "Thank you. Is it funny enough to give me those 3 vignettes?" And he said, "Well, that and everything else you do, I'm going to do that." So my new sofas, my new lamps, my new tables, my new wall art, my new greenery filled up all 3 of those. That's all the vignettes they had in the store. So this is several days prior to the show opening. As my buddies, of course, mine's finished, my space, down to with that last little greenery to fill up a square inch. I mean, they were beautiful. So as my buddies start trickling in, one of them came in and he's looking around for his new merchandise. And he stops at the first vignette. He says, "My God, that is beautiful." And he turns around, and I'm behind him, and I'm also there with the guy that does all my advertising. Happens to be my fraternity brother named Huey Hall. So he's standing there, and he says, "Larkin, is all this yours?" I said, "Yes, it is." He said, "Wow, that's incredible." He said, "I wonder where my merchandise is." I said, "I don't know." So he steps over to the second vignette, and he says, "Good Lord, this is better looking than the first one." And he turns around again and says, "This isn't yours, is it?" I said, "Well, yeah." He said, "All of this?" I said, "Yes, it is, all of it." He said, "That's ridiculous." I said, "Yeah, but it looks pretty good, I think." He said, "Larkin, do you know where my merchandise is?"
Check the stock room.
And I really didn't, because I'd spent all my time, making sure mine were as perfected as possible and looked as presentable as possible. Yeah. So the third vignette, he looks at me, and I knew he was going to take the steps over there, which he did. And it was the best looking of the 3. And he turned around, and of course my advertising guy's right beside me at my arm. And my rep buddy says, "Is this all yours too?" I said, "Yes, it is." And he said, "God almighty," throws his arms up and says, "What in the hell is this, Larkin Galleries?" And runs out the front door. And my advertising guru just punched me in the arm. And he said, "He just named your company."
I love it.
And I said, not being an advertising guy, I said, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "You let me handle that, but he just named your company." And we got...
Huey's still around, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's the guy.
Yeah, he still does it.
Still doing the catalog.
Still doing the catalog all these
You're
years
still
later.
creating these catalogs today.
Yeah. Oh, listen. The stores are excited for these catalogs to come in. So, Badcock makes their own catalog.
Right.
But essentially everything in the warehouse.
Yeah.
And they will get an additional catalog, which all of those items are in their big catalog, but it's just the Larkin Gallery catalog. And David puts a little surprise in there for them, and they know it every time they get it. What do they get?
$5.
$5 bill inside the catalog.
And every one of them.
It's brilliant.
And I know they got them because Friday, as soon as they opened it, I start getting texts. "Larkin, thank you for the $5. Got your catalog." And they promptly try to order everything that's available in that catalog.
And as marketers, like, $5 isn't a lot.
No.
But I promise you, you're going to remember it.
Yeah,
Isn't that what we're trying to do in marketing, right?
Trying to be
And then you're doing it every year, right? It's brilliant.
Well, I started the catalog, and I started with $2 in those days, but $2 wouldn't get you a half a can of Coca-Cola or whatever today, so I raised it to $5. But I also wanted to give them something when they attended the show that they could leave with. So I came up with a T-shirt idea with Larkin Galleries and all my companies that I work for, the dates, the locations, memorabilia. And those shirts have been sensational for, God,
It's got to be a badge of honor now for a guy to have multi-years worth of shirts. You know, to have a collection. Just like I wish that I had saved bucket badges for all these
I wish I
years.
did too.
Good point.
You know, it would be neat just to have them.
Good point.
Well, speaking of shirts, there's another thing. So, my first Badcock show. So Badcock puts on a show for all their franchisees and everything. And by the way, it's one of the best I've been to. Like, they do a hell of a job. Where they award their franchisees, and there's like a showroom floor. Now, it was different before I started, but when I started, they set everything up and they mix everything just to make it look amazing. So they're mixing my art with this guy's rug and this lamp and this upholstery, and so there's not necessarily like a section of classy art, right? But what was cool was when we got there, David had Larkin Gallery shirts. So off goes the classy art polo or whatever I was wearing, and on goes the Larkin Gallery shirt, right? And I just thought that was so cool. So all these vendors that are there are wearing the Larkin Gallery, right? And like, and the dealers treat you differently. Tell me about it. They want to
They know
about
you're associated with
Yes.
Mr. Larkin. They treat you different.
100%. Yeah.
That's true.
But he's earned it.
Yeah.
He earned it and so much more. So much more. So I have a funny story. I don't know if it's funny. It was just like
We'll decide if it's funny.
Yeah, I know. You're great. So as you know, we have an office in Opelika, Alabama, where Priscilla office.
Oh, right. Yep.
And it is like one of those shared offices where you rent one small office or even a desk out in the middle. And the lady who runs it is showing me the back. They're building all these new offices, and we go outside, like out the back door. And then when I go back in, there's this like steel. This door must weigh 1,000 pounds. It's a steel door, and it's beat to shit. And it's this Badcock furniture.
Really?
And I'm like, what? And the woman's like, oh yeah, this was an old Badcock location. And of course, I take a picture and I send it to Emily, who was my buyer there at the time. And I send it to David and tell him what's going on. And he goes, well, where are you? And I go, Opelika, Alabama. And he goes, get the hell out. I'm going to be there tonight.
Was on my way. Working my way there.
Norma.
Working our way there.
His wife goes on the road and calls on all these stores with him, which has got to make it so much sweeter.
Dave, there's no way I could do it without her.
Yeah.
And she's a beautiful, beautiful lady with an incredible personality. So she's built her own relationship with these stores.
Yeah.
And over the last probably 7-8 years, when we walk into a store, especially the guys, they come up and say, Larkin,
Oh, I bet they
we talked to you for 40 years. Get the hell out of the way. We want to talk to Norma. And, of course, the ladies love her, too, because how she looks, how she treats them, the clothes she wears, the shoes she wears. And you're talking about a sacrifice. The only way you can do what we've done is you have to drive every day to the furthest point, because that's where you got to start the next day, because you got to run a route. You can't get to a spot and work out of there because you'll be deadheading. So you've got to keep driving to that next location.
So you drive at the end of the day to the next, so that you're already there to start working first thing in the morning.
Exactly right. And there's no way to get your clothes clean because we're not going to be in the same spot except one night. So and believe this or not, this has happened many, many, many times. When I tell Norma, where are we going? And I said, well, this is one of the long ones. And she says, how many days? I said, 20, 21.
Wait, you're going to be gone from home for 20 days in a row.
Not only that, Joe, we're going to work 20 straight days.
Did you not hear when I said?
I know, but I
didn't know if your ears matched the eyes. Like the 380 store, you gave me shit.
I get, but I mean, we all know you could see 5 stores in a day, maybe something like that. So I was being silly, but to be gone for 20 days straight from home, so that's 20 days of hotels, 20 days of travel,
20 days in a different hotel.
Different hotel every
night.
Eating out all the time.
Every night. Every day.
Well, you got to have some good restaurant recommendations.
Well, yeah.
We had a night in Opelika. That was a hell of a night.
Yeah. It certainly was.
Yeah.
And that's what we look for, restaurants like Gabe's talking about. I try to at least reward her with that, Unfortunately, many nights, just like you said, we're going to work. That store closes in that town.
Yeah.
And if it's 8 o'clock, then we're going to work to 8 o'clock. We try to many times stay at Embassy Suites because they have an open, what they call a manager's meeting, where you get free drinks from 5:30 or 6 to 7:30. Unfortunately for Norma and I, we don't get there till after that many times. So I wish we could have taken advantage of that more than we did, but we couldn't. But you get a free custom breakfast the next morning. So example of that is the way Norma would push us. This was 2 weeks before Christmas. I'm going to say 12 years ago. We were way up in North Carolina. We just worked Hickory. And you got to go up the mountain to Boone. It's raining. As I said, it's December. It's cold. It's not snowing, but it's right before that. And we've had a long day. And as we pull into Boone, I start looking around for the hotel that she has picked out and made the reservation. I mean, she runs our office from that seat next to me because the emails don't stop because we're on the road. Seems like they multiply, but there's always something to take care of, and that's she does it. I don't even know how to turn a computer on, but she handles every bit of that. Our reservations, answering all those emails, taking care of problems. She does it, and goes in these stores and looks like $1 million. So as we're pulling into Boone, my tongue's hanging out. I'm whipped, and I'm looking for the hotel, and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I don't know where this hotel is." And she said, "You know where the store is?" And I said, "Yeah, and we'll be there in the morning." "Oh, no, we won't. We'll be there tonight." And I said, "You've got to be kidding me, Norma." She said, "We'll get there at 7:45, which we did. So I ceased looking for the hotel, went to the store. Now here it is, like I said, a couple of weeks before Christmas, and one of the Badcock Road guys, Reagan Morrison, hard-working dude, very successful for Badcock, does a fabulous job working with the stores. He's walking out, and now it's about, as we get all our things to carry into the store. That's another thing. We never walk into a store without gifts. Never walk in empty-handed. Not once in my life would I do that.
Gifts being what?
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
Well, T-shirts, pens, whatever that my advertising agency, Huey, has come up with, that puts Larkin Gallery's name on it. Tumblers, yeah.
Wait, I was going to say, you guys have some, so we call it, promotional giveaways or whatever, but they always have the best promotional giveaways at the Badcock show. So I remember when Bluetooth, it was new, they had Bluetooth speakers.
Yes, we did.
Right? When Yeti was a thing, they had the Yeti tumblers.
Yep.
Everybody wants the Larkin Gallery.
They do. They line up for them.
Yeah.
We've given away golf shirts. The T-shirts are an addition. The T-shirts are a tradition. Once I started that, I've given out, I think, a little over 40,000 of T-shirts. And I don't ask my factories to pay 1 penny of my advertising, even though their names on the T-shirts with Larkin Galleries. But that's my expense. That's part of the bargain. When I shake someone's hand to work with them, they shake mine back. That's the deal. I ask them to, like Mr. Badcock asked, give it the best price, best service, take care of issues. I'll do the rest. And that's how we do it. So getting back to Norma, as we're walking into the Boone store, Reagan is walking out. Now, he's from Florida, but he had moved up to the Carolinas. And he looks at me and he says, Larkin, what in the hell are you doing? It's 2 weeks before Christmas. I said, yeah. Aren't you out here working hot shot? He said, yeah, I live up here. You live 1,000 miles away. He said, you're ridiculous. He said, but that's what makes you Larkin, I guess. So that was Norma pushing me to get that store, because the next morning, that's a corporate store. They don't open till 10. We could be long gone and at the next store when they open. But she's my partner, and when she took on this job with me, she took it on full bore, and she's a huge part of our success.
I kind of think it's pretty cool. It's like date night every night, though. Like, you're working your ass off, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But like most people, most married couples have this, like, well, we need to reconnect. Like, we need to make time for date night, right? You guys have date night every night.
That's a good way to look at it.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Going out to dinner and
Yeah.
And you're together 24/7.
Yeah.
So you better get along.
You better like each other.
Does she ever get sick of you? Come on.
Hey, bring Norma. Bring her over. Let's get her on. Dude. We should get her on.
Yeah, she's the secret.
You think we can get her on? I think we should.
Yeah, I think you should too.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, we have to. We'll bring her in. I think we should definitely bring her in. But let's keep the conversation going.
All right,
Mike
producer, manager.
She's on the other foot now.
Yeah, I've got many funny stories, with the Badcock family. But when Mr. Badcock, thank goodness, anointed me as one of those 3 to his sons, years later at the High Point Market, I'm sitting with one of those sons in a space after hours. Huge bar. Is this factory I work for? Well, there must have been 20 guys at this bar, and Logan Badcock and I were sitting side by side right at the L section of the bar. I'm here and he's there, and there's guys down that side and guys down this side. Guys down this side were talking to the guys in front of them and asking them who they were, what they did, yada, yada. Logan and I are just talking to each other. These were young guys. So finally, and I hadn't been a young guy in a while, so these guys over here, they finally look at me and said, who are you? And I said, just a rep. They said, you got a name? I said, yeah, I got a name. They said, well, what is it? And I said, David Larkin. They said, David Larkin? You're the guy that sells Badcock everything. And I said, I don't know if I sell them everything, but I've certainly been blessed over the years selling to them. And they said, no, everybody knows you. And I said, okay, well, thanks for the recognition. So I turned back and I'm talking to Wogie. And they said, hey, buddy. So I turned around and they said, who's the guy next to you? I don't know. Why don't you ask him? They said, what's your name? Logan Badcock. And they said, Logan Badcock? Oh, God, Mr. Badcock. We're sorry. We should have known who you were. And I said, yeah, you should have. But now you do know who he is. Great guy. So I turned back around to talk to Wogie again. And they said, Mr. Badcock, Mr. Badcock. Yes? We have a question. What is it? Why do y'all buy so much from this guy? And he says, because my daddy told me to.
That's a cool.
And I turned around and looked at him, and he looked at me and said, you think that was a good answer, David? And I said, well, it's the truth. He said, that's why it's a good answer.
I like it. Well, but in a way, that sort of minimizes what you've achieved with them and what you've accomplished, because they haven't been buying from you just because Dad said. Dad's been gone. The company has changed hands. The buyers have changed. It's not family.
Twice.
And they continue to buy from you.
Twice.
They continue to do all that. So it's, well,
Because you know what hasn't changed?
the work ethic
David Larkin.
and the 380 store visits
right.
a year. And
Yeah, they still know today, regardless of who owns them, that David Larkin is taking care of them and their company.
that's a
He has
remarkable.
the eyes and the ears out there who nobody else can do what he does.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's so much value.
You know, you're correct. But lucky for me, when a new buyer gets that seat, some of the regulars still there will tell them about they'll call me. When a new buyer gets that seat, I don't necessarily know who they are. I might have seen them in a showroom in the past buying for other companies. And I've met a lot of people, thousands, if you're going to, this is my 54th year. So you're going to meet a lot of people. And I might be called down to the office and say, you're the guy that does this and this and this and this. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So
But we can-
lucky for me, that precedes, me. Lucky for me.
Yeah. Yeah. We can cut this out if you don't want to make it public. But you told me a story one time about your beginnings in the Badcock world and being part of their family, where you also, you weren't just going out and promoting your products to these stores. You were also the man on the street that was able to report back to corporate office what was going on out there in the world, and so you doubled your value. You weren't just getting your products out there and getting them sold. You were also an information conduit for corporate.
That's correct. Mr. Badcock passed in 97. And for the first time in their history, they brought in an outside person to be their president. And his name was Don Marks. And Don Marks had previous stops at McDonald's, Rent-A-Center, some very big corporate entities. So I met him at this market right after he came into Badcock. And these were some times that were uncertain, to the dealers, because they'd always had a Badcock in charge, a Badcock, obviously, family member. This is the first time there was going to be an outsider as their president. They were concerned. And Don Marks really didn't know, and there was no way for him to have known what he was walking into. So I met him here at this market. And by the way, at that time, I pulled a custom-built 32-foot showroom to every store. I wasn't just me going to their stores. I decided way before Don Marks got there, but as I've told y'all earlier, I always wanted to kick my buddies' butts. So I came up with, what if I have a showroom that I carry to the stores? Because those people don't necessarily get to come to the Badcock show. The franchise owners did, but not all the salespeople. I said, I'll just take the show to them. So I asked the Badcock family, I said, would y'all give me permission to do this. And they said, what did you say, Larkin? I said, I'm going to have a custom 32-foot showroom built. And it's going to be the nicest showroom that I've ever seen, including all mine at High Point. I said, sure you are. And what are you going to pull that with, a Volkswagen? I said, no, I'm going to get me a big old custom truck too. So I did. And it became an instant success.
Oh, of course.
If it's possible, I'd love to get a picture of that to splice into the podcast.
Got it.
Do you have
Yeah.
you have an old picture of one of those?
We do. Yeah. And they still, to this day, and that was, I started pulling that in 97 and pulled it to 2007. And they still talk about it to this day when we walk in. But Don Marks, becoming the first outside president, he called me 2 weeks after the market, and he says, Larkin, I'm Don Marks, president of Badcock. I said, yeah, Don, I just met you. I know who you are. And he said, I don't want to be bragging, but he said, you know, you got a pretty special relationship down here with everybody. I said, well, I'm proud to hear that. He said, no, you have an impeccable relationship with everybody. He said, that's not done. I said, well, I hope I do. You don't understand what I'm saying. He said, I've never in my life seen a guy put on like a pedestal. I said, well,
It's amazing what $2 will buy you.
isn't it? Good point. Good point, though. Touche. So that $2 bought me that reputation. And so he says, look, with that reputation, I don't think I know everything that I signed up for. I'm sure you don't. And of course, I had been calling on the stores for years and years before I came up with a custom trailer. Those people, those dealers and I had become family. And I mean family. They did for me, and I tried to do for them. Luckily for me, I'd met so many people in this industry that I knew owners, sales managers, reps that weren't with my companies, just furniture companies. So those stores would ask me, Larkin, we know this isn't your line, but is there any way you could help us resolve this problem with X? You know everybody. And sure enough, I did. I said, yeah, what do you need? What's going on? They'd tell me, it's a minor problem. I'd call either the owner, the sales manager, or the rep. Say, hey, take care of this for the store up here in Athens, Tennessee. And they said, Larkin, what are you calling us for? I said, because you need to take care of this today, and this problem ends today. And they would, so Badcock family knew that when I was out there, it wouldn't be just for me and my factory.
Well, so you really lived up to Mr. Badcock's first request, which was take care of problems. Even if they weren't your problems,
That's correct.
You were taking care of problems.
You're right.
For them.
So speaking of those, Don Marks asked me, he said, look, we know you have this relationship with the stores that no one has, not even the family down here. I said, well, they're running that big corporation. I'm in the stores every day. And I said, yeah, I get to hear their problems whether I want to or not. And I try to help. So he says, would you call me every Friday after you've been out and give me a State of the Union? And I said, on one condition. He said, What's that? I said, I get to tell you the bad along with the good. And he said, that's why I'm calling you. I knew you would. So he and I became pretty close pretty quickly, because at 3 o'clock on that next Friday, had I not called him, my phone would ring at 2 minutes after 3. Larkin, where you been? What are they saying? And we built this rapport, and he asked me, there's a dealer that's a pretty good dealer and he needs personal touch, some help. Would you tell me? I said, sure, I will. So I'll also tell you when one that's not as good needs you to take a look at it.
A different kind of attention.
A different kind of
Perhaps a little spanking.
yeah, perhaps.
Not that kind of spanking.
But yeah, but that's how, Don Marks, being the first outside family president, and I built a relationship, because shortly after the Friday calls, he asked a bigger favor. And he said, Larkin, I don't know if you'll do this, but may I ask another favor? I said, as president of Badcock, you can ask all you want. And he said, may I travel with you in your truck and trailer? And I said, president of Badcock in my truck and trailer. Absolutely you can. So shortly thereafter, he would call me and say, where are you going to be week after next on a Tuesday? And because I ran a route, I knew where I was going to be. So I said, I'm going to be up in North Georgia, Atlanta area. Can you pick me up? I said, at the airport? Yeah. I said, if I drop my trailer off at one of your stores, because I can't pull that trailer through the airport. He said, oh, I didn't think of that. I said, no problem. I'll be there. So wherever he would want to fly in is where I'd pick him up. And then wherever he wanted to fly out is where I'd drop him off. So that was the first outside president of Badcock. But he and I became very close friends, and we helped each other out, and helped the Badcock family out in times of need, because they were concerned about having an outside president. But as it turned out, it was a good hire.
Well, so I have 3 questions, and you only have to answer one of them. You get to decide which question you want to answer. Since you've been on the road so much, what's been the most reliable vehicle of all of that road?
Just let me hear him a second. We got no sponsors.
Well, we're trying to spread some good news.
What did we talk about earlier? And I almost chimed in and go, no, we're bleeping that out. We got no sponsors.
So that's one. You choose to answer which one of these questions. So which vehicle has been the most reliable?
Okay.
What would you be doing if you weren't doing this? And how much is in your checking account?
How much has been in my checking account, and how much is in my checking account? That's 2 different topics.
You don't have to answer 2 of them. Just pick whichever one you want to answer.
All right, I'll use the reliable one. That's the safest. We could have been Norm and I could have been the advertisement for, and y'all might remember it, the Buick LaCrosse, when they changed that style in 2012.
It's pre-Tiger.
Yeah. And it looked exactly like a Lexus. Exactly. Which is what Norma had been driving. So I said, hey, it's your new car. And she said, yeah, I know which one I want. And I said, okay, which Lexus? I thought that would be it. And she said, no, it's a new Buick LaCrosse. And I said, Buick LaCrosse? Why? And she said, it's beautiful. I love it. Okay. We drive up to Public Supermarket, and there's one sitting about maybe 100 feet away. Beautiful car. She said, see that red one? And I said, just like the TV commercial. I said, I see a Lexus. I don't see a Buick LaCrosse. And she said, oh, you're looking at it. I said, I don't see a Buick, Norma. I see a Lexus. She said, that's the car. Sure enough, we walk over there, and the owner of the Buick dealership in Lakeland had just pulled in, and he was getting out. And I said, I can't believe that's not a Lexus. Neither can anybody else. And that's the car we bought her. And it was an incredible vehicle. Then we bought another one. And it's been an incredible vehicle. But they've changed the body style now, so we're going to have to go back to Lexus or whatever she wants.
This feels like a really dangerous thing happening.
Well, it wasn't on screen until you no, everybody sees Michael hating the fire. He was fine.
It's just spilling liquid flamethrower juice all over the table.
It was fine. Alcohol, drinks.
All right.
But did you die?
No, I didn't die. I guess it's fine.
Still look good. No of you. Thank God.
The flame went out. I told you I wanted it to be romantic.
Okay, now you got to answer one of the other questions.
Oh, so I have some funny stories about when we first met. So, we didn't know each other, right? And
Were you selling classy art before they got involved?
No.
Okay.
no, David got us involved. And I will say that David spent years trying to get us involved.
Took a while.
And never gave up. And it wasn't a David problem or a classy problem. There were some other political things that
True.
we're not going to talk about here. But the second that political problem went away, we were the first call they made. It was
That's exactly right.
To turn your phone off when we're doing the podcast.
because I'm at High Point Furniture Market, our Super Bowl, where we do a lot.
You didn't answer it anyways.
All right, now I'm going to check who it is. Oh, that was a good one.
It's not it doesn't work.
Okay. All right.
So finally that political problem went away.
Correct.
And, the rest is history, right? And we've been working with them, and we've been very happy with the
And this is a
relationship there.
perfect line. Gabe, his brother, his team, they put together an incredible product for the money. And it's a laydown for Badcock, and always was. But as Gabe said, we had to wait our turn, which sometimes you have to,
Yeah.
and we did. But there's a long, bright future with classy art and Badcock. There's no question.
So we're in Tupelo Furniture Market, and Dave and I at the time aren't friends. We just know each other, right? And he's taken on the line, and we had a mutual friend who helped bring us together.
True.
And
Who's the mutual friend?
Keely Rhodes.
Oh, yeah.
Keely
Yep.
Rhodes. And
He's a mutual friend of all of ours.
All of us.
Yeah.
Correct.
we'll have to tag him somehow.
Yeah.
So I knew something that David didn't know that I knew about him. And so David, you know what? I say this all the time. I say, I doubt anybody has sold more furniture in this business than David. Now, that may or not be true, but I'll tell you one thing that I know 100% true. Nobody sold more accessories in this industry than David Larkin. Period. I know this as a matter of fact.
Right. Top accessory. 54 years in the business.
And started with accessories.
Yeah.
But the fascinating part was David is colorblind.
What?
Did you not know this? This news? So
In which eye?
So he didn't know I know, right? He didn't know I knew, and he's in the Tupelo space, and he's walking the booth, and we were in a temporary space, right? So we got these walls up. He's walking around. He's like, man, this is beautiful. I mean, the way this all goes together. And I had a saying that I learned from Bill Burson, my Oklahoma rep. I said, listen, just because you're blowing smoke up my ass doesn't mean I don't like it.
I think that. Oh my word!
So good.
That was perfect timing too.
We had a good time. But you have a story about how because pre-furniture, you were in the suit business.
So close when I was in college. Yeah,
And you told me a story, and I remember it all 20 years later.
a true story.
About a guy who wanted to mess with you.
Dr. Henry Hudson was the customer, and I'm as colorblind as you can get. I mean, if you two have ever taken the colorblind test, where those pages have little circles and there's a number and a color, they'll tell you how bad you are. And I took that test one time, and the nurse who was giving it to me said, "You got to be kidding me." And I says, "No." She said, "You didn't see one number?"
You failed all of it.
In 16 pages, I didn't see one number. She said, "You're the worst I've ever seen."
Wow. The bedside manner of this person.
Yeah, and you can't make it up. You know, if you're colorblind, you're colorblind.
Yeah.
There's no cheating.
Yeah.
So I realized that I was bad, but I was selling clothes. And I had my select set of customers that would come in and ask for me. You know, so I was going to college, and I said, I got to figure out how I can make sure when they ask for a green Glen pad, is what story you're talking about, that I can show them that. So I would code all the tags when we were tagging them, had all the prices, the retail, and my color code, which meant nothing to anybody else. But
So you would write some kind of code on there that said, this is navy, this is charcoal, this is black.
sir, I did. And when
Just
when
not write it in color.
yeah. But I would have it coded where I knew what color it was, not by seeing the color, but by seeing the tag. So Dr. Henry Hudson, my biggest regular account, like Badcock is my biggest account. So I worked on a very small salary and commission, and I needed the money. I was helping pay my way through college, and I worked 38 hours every week and went to school full time, and led the store in sales. So these buddies of mine, young guys that had come in younger than I helped hire them. I got them the job, but I didn't know they would screw with me. I thought they were friends of mine. So Dr. Henry Hudson, I saw him get out of his Jaguar. Thank you, Jesus. Friday night. And I needed the sales desperately. He comes in and says, "Dr. Hudson, how are you, sir?" He said, "Larkin, I'm good. I need some suits." And I said, "Yes, sir. We just got some in that were tailor-made for you, Dr. Hudson." I said, "What you looking for?" "Yeah, Glen plaid, line, everybody's wearing." I said, "Oh, yes, sir. Got a green one by chance?" He said, "I do. I'll start with that." "Oh, wow. Yes, sir." So he's looking at the rack, and I'm flipping the racks with this hand, while my right hand's flipping the sleeve.
Checking the codes.
Yes, checking the code. "Dr. Hudson, this is pure silk. You're a good-looking man with an incredible physique," which he didn't have.
You've never told me that.
You also don't have.
I want to be told.
And so did he. "This is going to make you look like $1 million, Dr. Hudson." I said, "Just fill this." And he's looking at me, and he's realizing it's not what he asked for. And he says, "Larkin, did you hear what I said?" I said, "Yes, sir. Green, Glen plaid." I said, "No, if you want worsted wool, a blend, silk, we got them all." "Well, show me one." I'm going, "What?" So I slowly hang that one back up, and I'm flipping up here where he's looking, and I'm looking down here. I said, okay, here you go, Dr. Hudson. Heart shattering more. This is $1,000 suit. Now, this is in 1968, 69. That's an expensive suit. He said, that is beautiful, Larkin. Did you hear what I asked you? I'm going, what in the hell? I said, where am I missing this? Yes, sir. I said, this blend is you, Dr. Hudson. My God, you wear this year-round here in Birmingham. He said, for $1,000, I'll be able to sleep in it. And I said, you can. He says, better your pajamas. He said, I want a green linen plaid. I'm not going to ask you that again. But now I know I'm fucked. Because I hear these giggles behind me from my buddies who'd switched the tag. I said, oh my God. So now I just got a yes. And I guessed wrong. He looks at me. He'd been buying clothes for me for almost 3 years.
It really, like, nobody confessed to the switcheroo.
Oh, the laughter. I knew who did it.
But they didn't come save you. They didn't come.
Oh, no.
And what happened in that?
Oh, my gosh.
Individual.
They, it's too obvious.
Still in the store.
No, they lost the job that night.
The number one sales.
Yeah, that night, the manager was standing there, and the store needed that sale as badly as I did. So he watched it, and he said, "Those son of a did that to my boy." So Dr. Hudson looked at me and said, "I'll never be back." He never was. So that store lost one of their biggest customers ever that they'd ever had. And my buddies got a great laugh out of it. And they got fired. Wow. A few minutes later, they were asked to leave. And they did.
Well, we have a surprise for you. Dr. Hudson.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God. That would have been better. That is all.
We gotta do better. We gotta do better.
That's all. That's all. Oh my God.
So it's been a good market.
It's been a
good market. Good market for us.
What about you, David?
Great market.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been
busy.
Yeah.
Got here last Monday and had my first appointment last Monday and just finished.
Well, we thank you. We thank you for your service to the home furnishing industry. A true legend.
Absolutely.
We thank you for joining us and allowing us to share some of your stories.
My pleasure, guys. Always.
Yeah.
And it's been a pleasure knowing you and working with your dad back in the 70s.
Yeah, David sold my dad.
Can we talk about? Is there some stories about Joe's dad?
Well, you know, Joe's dad was a class act. Worked at a company called Unclaimed Freight, owned by a man named John Morgan, who needed his dad to balance that business. And they had a.
It sounds a lot like this duo.
They had a fabulous business. I met many good friends there, including his dad. That was one, like I said, that was one of the biggest accounts I had before Badcock grew with me to where it became. But I met so many incredibly good people, you know, in the this is the start of the 54th year. You're going to meet a bunch of good people.
Yeah. Well, I talk about that all the time. And so, you know, our friends and family, you know, they're constantly we all talk about markets, our world and back home, and they don't get it, right? And so the thing I say about the furniture industry is that there are more authentic people in this industry and in any other industry that I know.
No question.
You know, I'm in a lot of different industries, but there is nothing like
no question.
Your business. And, you know, when you find that authenticity, right, like that is where real relationships, like deep-rooted, last a lifetime.
Well, all of my best friends are in well, not all of them, but most of my best friends have come from the furniture.
Sorry, Ryan.
Called out. He's doing it.
Yeah.
He's the outsider.
Yeah. But yeah, same.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we're lucky.
We're very fortunate.
Yeah.
You know, a guy like me as a rep, being able to build true relationships with younger guys, you know, as I get older, that I work with or sell to, is amazing. I mean, I'm 76, so how many 76-year-olds get to meet cool young guys, you know, driving their business, and you get to have a little piece of it, you know, to help them. Gives you a reason every day to wake up and smile and get after it, knowing you're still contributing.
Absolutely.
It does
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Well, guys, watch out for David on the road. He'll be the one swerving. I'm in between not being able to see the colors of the lines and only having one good eye. And Nora's on the laptop. I mean,
No, you're not talking about any of that. Listen.
I got a crooked eye. And I said to David, when he showed up with his eye patch, I said, there's only room for one of us in this business. I'm the one-eyed guy.
And you've dealt with it all your life.
Yeah.
And dealt with it very.
It's not
admirably.
It is. It's not a thing I have to deal with. It's a calling card. It's a.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love how fun it is for you, right? Like, and so I remember, and this was really early on when we met Joe. At the time, he had been a customer, and we were just starting to become friends. And he went out with us one night, and my brother was dating this girl, just really good looking, right? And we all went out, and we're walking back to the car, and Joe goes, "You better watch out, girl. I got my good eye on now." I knew right there.
You'd find Joe. Lifelong buddy.
100%. 100%. That was it, man. Well, again,
Well, Alex said that he could fix it in post, and I said, "Don't fix it.
yeah, that's
Don't
right. He
fix
did
it.
say that, yeah.
Yeah. It's my signature. Stop trying to steal my look."
I didn't mean to. I'll give it back to you if I could. You know, it's funny though. You were asking earlier about this and detached retina. It's usually caused by a blow, like boxers get it all the time, or a car accident where you get hit. But some of us, the retina was
Norma hitting you?
no, it's blood pressure can do it.
Oh, really?
As many things can do it. They don't know exactly what caused mine.
It wasn't some sort of trauma. It just
No,
happened
it just happened.
from the inside.
Yeah, on the way to here to High Point, a
Yeah.
happy place.
Yeah.
You know, and so I didn't finish that story, but I drove on up here, and my buddies, when I got here, they saw something wasn't right. So they said, "What's going on with you?" I said, "Nothing. Show me the new merchandise for tomorrow's appointment." And they said, "No, what's going on with you?" "Nothing. Show me the new merchandise for tomorrow's appointment." They said, "You just ran into that wall going to the bathroom." I said, "Well, that's happened before." You know,
It's a little early in the day, but
yeah, that's exactly what they said. The market is only 4 o'clock. And I bet that's happened before. So, anyway, went to the hospital here in High Point, and they found out it was a detached retina. Sent me to Wake Forest Baptist, Winston-Salem, because they do the surgeries. And after being examined for several hours, they set the surgery up for 7 a.m. And I asked them if there was rehab involved. They said, "Of course there is." And I said, "I don't live here. I'm going to have this done in Central Florida." And they said, "We understand. You have 7 days to get that done, or most assuredly you're going to lose your sight." I said, "Okay." And they said, "You're not driving." I said, "Oh, of course not." So I got a cab back to High Point, loaded my car, and drove back to Lake. But I had Norma found me a fabulous surgeon. He did all he could. And I went through 5 surgeries and didn't work out. But I'm just fine. Life's great.
Yeah. Thank God for the good eye.
Thank God for the good.
I've been saying it for a long time.
I really get it. Wait, you're an inspiration, buddy.
Hey, you
Both
are
of you-
too.
Both of you young guys are to me.
We love you and we appreciate you being here.
No,
Always have.
man, we talk about it all the time. Thank you so much for being with us and just showing us what good business practices actually means, and join us on the podcast. And I think that and it is truly a legacy. Your legacy will continue to inspire generations behind us. I mean, I've introduced you to one young man who, kind of talked to you about showing him what Larkin does, and I think that's going to continue for a very, very long time.
Well, thank y'all very much. I love you guys, and happy trails to us.
All right. Thanks. Cut.
Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all doing that. I didn't know y'all were doing that, but
Which what part?
all of it.
We just thought we were having a meeting.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were doing.
We just drink booze and have fun conversations.
I like that. I
Well,
love
that was nice because we were able to pick the best sellers and things like that. What you found was,
Bitch, I can see you falling asleep while I'm telling my
I'm
story.
not falling asleep. Look, just try it.
You would be